Welcome to the Explainer. If you've ever laid awake at night worrying that bringing AI and big data into your workplace means, well, losing your humanity, you are definitely not alone. Today we're unpacking a genuinely fascinating framework from our source material on how data and algorithms can actually become real companions in our work, rather than these cold, dictating forces we're so often afraid of. To really ground these massive concepts, our source material centers around a conversation between two colleagues, Mira and Arav. Picture this. They're sitting out on a sunlit terrace. The air smells faintly of old paper files mixed with that weird ozone scent of a hot, open laptop. Mira's got this battered old USB stick tucked away, while Arav is messing with a solar-powered charger and sketching out ideas for a data dashboard. It's this perfect atmosphere that kind of blends the quiet, intense hum of a server room with the intimate warmth of a kitchen table chat. And it's exactly here that they map out what they call the digital compass of modern management. Okay, let's dive into this. The central question driving their entire conversation, and really the heart of our explainer today, is this. How does computation actually become a companion in management? How do these complex information systems take just raw, messy data and turn it into meaningful direction for us? Well, we are going to trace this exact journey. We'll start from the absolute simplest digital tools and go all the way up to complex, large-scale machine intelligence to see how each step completely reshapes what an organization can even imagine achieving. Right off the bat, Arav drops this absolute gem of a quote. He says, "Intelligence can be a mirror or a mask. We must choose reflection." Man, I love that. It perfectly sets up our core thesis today. See, technology has this immense power to either obscure our human values behind a mask of just blind automated efficiency, or it can be a mirror, reflecting reality so we can step up and make better, kinder decisions. Our ultimate goal? Ensuring technology amplifies human care. All right, section 1, from memory to display. Think back to the early days. Computers were really just practical helpers. They were there to smooth out the boring, routine work. They definitely weren't making decisions. They were just replacing manual math in a ledger. Take a local shopkeeper, swapping out a stack of thumbed, messy paper invoices for a simple digital spreadsheet. The result? Weekly ordering errors absolutely plummeted, and that shopkeeper literally got to sleep better at night. Or consider a small factory that brought in some super basic inventory software. Because the reorder points were suddenly visible to the whole team, their procurement lead time shortened dramatically. And in a rural clinic, slapping a basic appointment system onto a tablet meant less crowding in the waiting room and making sure life-saving medicines were always actually in stock. So what's the common thread in all those rapid-fire examples? It's the shift from relying on individual, fallible human memory to using a shared, reliable display. By taking on that heavy clerical load, the computer modestly expands what a single manager can realistically juggle in their head. And here is the absolute key point. These early tools didn't replace human care, not at all. They freed up human attention. They amplified our capacity to actually be present with the people we're serving. Let's move to and see how this builds in section 2, mirrors of reality. Now, as technology advanced way beyond those isolated, single-use tools, we started building systems to handle macro-level knowledge, and our source material uses two incredibly evocative terms for this: civic memory and decision mirrors. What amazed me reading this was how these systems managed to give an entire organization a clearer, shared picture of reality without bossing anyone around. They don't dictate actions, they don't tell people what to do. Instead, they provide this highly reliable reflection of what is actually happening on the ground, serving as a solid, trustworthy foundation for human judgment. What does this actually look like in the real world? Well, picture a local cooperative building a management information system that pulls daily collections, payments, and even complaints onto a single screen. Now the board can spot patterns instantly without needing to hold endless, time-consuming meetings. Or a small publisher using a decision support tool to weigh past book sales against author deadlines to suggest their next print runs. The system suggests, but the nuanced final choice, that stays with the human editor. Meanwhile, a municipal water department combined live sensor readings and citizen reports into one central dashboard. And boom, their repair dispatch shifted from pure guesswork to precise, rapid action. Now we're getting to the frontier. Section 3, possibility and responsibility. Naturally, as data pools grow, we cross into the realm of AI and big data. And this is a space that requires what Mira and Arav beautifully call cautious tenderness. They describe AI prediction not as some absolute, unbreakable prophecy, but rather as gentle foresight. Let's be real, automated pattern finding is brilliant at uncovering signals that we humans would totally miss. For example, a mid-sized food company used machine learning to predict festival demand spikes by analyzing past sales, the weather, and local event calendars, and they practically eliminated stockouts. A health network detected rising childhood malnutrition risks just from looking at anonymized data, which allowed them to step in early with outreach. And a transport co-op completely redesigned their routes using GPS traces to save a ton of fuel. But, and this is a big one, algorithms offer recommendations, not moral decisions. We constantly have to weigh the speed and consistency of machines against the warmth and judgment that is so essential to us humans. Think about it. An automated lending platform once found that its scoring model unfairly favored certain neighborhoods. It took human intervention to hit pause, examine the criteria, and manually adjust it. Or, when a retailer's lightning-fast chatbot started frustrating callers who had complex issues, they had to redesign the whole system so that actual human warmth stepped in for escalations. Even a university that trialed automated grading found that while the AI was fantastic for consistency, it was completely 100% blind to any kind of creative insight. The takeaway, human necessity has to oversee machine efficiency, every single time. Moving right along to Section 4, Big Data as Method. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is that big data often carries this huge, intimidating mystique. But reading through the sources, it's clear that it's really just a practical method of answering human questions. For instance, a civic group didn't just hoard generic data for the sake of it. They pulled local energy use, weather patterns, and demographics to pinpoint exactly which neighborhoods needed solar lanterns the most. A cultural festival analyzed ticket scans, social media chatter, and sales to improve their crowd flow, which made the whole event vastly more enjoyable for both the visitors and the vendors. And a microfinance lender looked at local market days alongside repayment histories to build schedules that actually match their clients' real-world cash flows. Big data's value literally skyrockets when it's married to local human understanding rather than trying to substitute it. Which brings us to the human foundation in Section 5, Implementing with Care. You can have the most cutting-edge software in the world, but a tool is only ever as humane as the processes shepherding it into existence. To implement tools with care and, avoid a total user mutiny, our sources highlight 3 vital steps. First, introduce technology slowly, with patience. Second, invite hands-on training. And third, most importantly, allow the users to actually shape the tool. There is this wonderful story in the text of a village cooperative that installed a new tablet system. They invited members to a hands-on weekend, and the users suggested small but massive fixes, things like larger text sizes, local language labels, and a simpler menu. Because they allowed the users to shape it, all the resistance just melted away. The tool truly became theirs.
Trust is absolutely crucial here. It's the whole shebang. A startup only managed to restore trust in their new predictive tool by conducting completely transparent walkthroughs of the model's inner logic. In healthcare, dashboards that are designed by the clinicians themselves tend to thrive, while the ones forced top-down by administration almost always fail. We also saw a social action group that got explicit consent for their flood mapping project and then flatly refused to sell that incredibly valuable data to advertisers. Structurally, smart firms are now embedding ethics checklists right into their product sprints. Asking questions like who benefits and who might be harmed isn't just bureaucratic red tape, it is quite literally how we maintain our humanity in the digital age.
Finally, we reach Section 6, 3 simple aspirations. So the crucial point is distilling this all down. As Mira and Arav wrapped up their walk on the terrace, they distilled their entire philosophy of management intelligence into 3 powerful pillars we can all carry forward. First up, amplification. We must use computers to lift the heavy clerical burden, freeing up human attention for the care and creativity that only we can provide. Second, clarity. We have to build dashboards and decision tools that show rather than hide, illuminating trade-offs so we can make truly informed choices. And finally, humility. We must treat algorithms as suggesting partners, not decreeing arbiters. Wherever human dignity is at stake, human judgment absolutely must have the final say. No exceptions. And that leaves us with this final provocative thought to consider for your own work. How will you ensure your organization's technology remains a true partner and not just a silent arbiter? As Mira so beautifully noted, our tools should help us remember better so we can decide kinder. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this framework helps you choose reflection over the mask of automation in your own digital journey. Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep leading with care.